The answer's in the room. We actually have all of this skill amongst all of these wonderfully talented people in the IT at ND. There are lots of people with lots of great ideas, and we should be leaning on each other and talking to each other to learn from one another about what we can do.
Hello, and welcome to Behind the Screens, IT at ND, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of the IT solutions consultants at the University of Notre Dame.
Here we explore the challenges they face, the innovative solutions they provide, and the tips and tricks that can help you make the most out of your technology. I'm Krista, Manager of IT Marketing and Communications in the OIT.
I'm Deanna, IT Support Technician with the Service Desk.
And I'm Scooter, Director of Information Technology for the College of Arts and Letters. We're thrilled to have you with us today. Our guest today is Jane Livingston, Vice President and Chief Information Officer for the university. Welcome, Jane.
Hi, how are you?
We're doing great. At Notre Dame, members of the IT at ND community serve as strategic partners across campus, embodying the IT at ND philosophy of people first, technology second. As CIO, Jane Livingston shapes the vision and environment in which this philosophy thrives. Today, we'll explore how her leadership guides that mission. So, Jane, before we start, could you tell us a little bit about your current role and the journey that brought you here?
So, I've been here about 4 years, starting my 5th year. And before here, I was the CIO at Florida State University. And prior to that, I spent 13 years in a variety of different leadership positions at Yale University. Before that, I was at a liberal arts college in upstate New York called Vassar. And before that, I was in corporate. So I've had kind of a long and eclectic career in higher education. I've been in higher education about 25 years now. And in a variety of different roles, I've gotten to serve in everything from client support facing roles, like the ones we're talking about today, to academic technology. And then I was web and communications for a while, which was fun. And then I moved into enterprise systems and then became a CIO. So I've worn a lot of different hats in IT.
Yeah, we love that. Love the communications representation.
Yeah,
Sure.
represent.
So at a recent town hall, you spoke a lot about the success of IT at ND and our community. Can you describe the difference you feel and see in the IT community now versus when you came to Notre Dame as CIO 4 years ago?
I think I inherited a really strong IT community. Ron Kramer was an amazing CIO, and he had been here a long time. And then we had a shorter stint with John Guzman, and then Ron came back during the pandemic. And I think that during that tenure, especially Ron's, he really focused on building a strong community within the OIT. But we also had lots of good connections all across the university. I think there was lots of good relationships that had been built, and yet we didn't do a lot of including each other in decision making. When I got here, what I would kind of say that we had a more of a command and control kind of communications approach to the rest of IT on campus. We would tell people what we were doing, or sometimes not accidentally, not intentionally, but we would sometimes not be as communicative as we maybe should have been. So I think that we've really been doing a lot to try to include the community more and in decision making, and also just improving transparency across the university and what's been going on. The addition of the town halls where everybody's invited, and inviting everyone to kind of join into our festivities, like tailgates and Christmas parties and things of that nature. That kind of social interaction is the glue that holds people together. So I think that's what I would say is the biggest difference.
Yeah, it's got to be nice to see that
Yeah.
transformation for sure.
Yeah.
And talking about this community, some of the ways that you've kind of brought it together, can you share something about IT at Notre Dame that makes you feel particularly proud?
So I think the level of trust that's gone up over the last 4 years. I mean, I would have to ask Scooter to really chime in on this, but like yesterday we had a kitchen cabinet meeting, which is all of the distributed IT leaders from across campus and the senior leadership team from OIT. And we've been doing those meetings. We've done them about 3 or 4 times, and I'm hoping to get them going a little bit more frequently, maybe 3 or 4 times a year. And I would say that trust is definitely improving. I'm seeing nods from Scooter, so that's a good
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely. I totally agree. I mean, just based on what we saw yesterday, and
Yeah.
that trust runs both ways, and it's tangible in the room.
Yeah, the community has just really grown, and so I'm super proud of that because I do think that that has been a big kind of change beacon over the last couple of years for sure.
Excellent. So let's talk for a moment about people first, technology second.
Yeah.
How does that people first philosophy show up in your leadership and in how you see IT across campus?
For a long time, my entire career, really. The first time I heard people, process, and technology, I was like, oh, that's so perfect. But it has to be in that order, right? So people always have to come first. And in particular, in higher education, relationships really do make this place work. And your relationship as an individual with another person is really what will bring change to the community, and you can get things done when you can lock arms with somebody that you know and actually put your heads together and get things done, right? So I would say for me anyway, it's always been a tenet, probably a central tenet of my own leadership approach and style. I think that in order to be a leader, you have to have trust. And so when you get into a new role, that's got to be your number one priority is building trust and building relationships. So all that said, that's me. But when I look around campus and how it shows up across campus, I have to say that it's really about your managers, right? Managers and leaders set that tone. So if you've got great managers and leaders who altogether believe in people first and truly are trying to think about how to enable their people, empower their people so that they can get the work of the university done better, that really is a team sport. Leadership is both an individual thing that people do in kind of isolation from one another, but the collective impact is felt as a team sport. So, us getting together yesterday as the kitchen cabinet and talking about our people and thinking about how we build people and how we give people opportunities, that's a team sport. That's not Jane sitting in an ivory tower pontificating at all. It is a huge number of people who are impacting people in an everyday way.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of which, we were talking about how those things really come to life, just in different things that kind of happen across campus and in our work. So, do you have like a fond memory, or could you share a story where that human element of IT work, like listening, empathy, and partnership, just made all the difference in maybe a project or an initiative or even a new tool?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's probably a bajillion examples of that. But since you asked, I did think of an example because I do think that there's tons of them. But the one that came to mind immediately is actually about our global environment. So when I got here, one of the first things I heard about from Chloe Klemek when I met her was that we really had an issue with the way we were managing identities for all of the people at our global locations. And so I was like, well, what are we going to do about that? Right. Well, it turns out that that problem had been going on since 2019. It was not a short kind of standing problem. And I will admit it has not been an easy one or a quick one to fix. But Corey has been an absolute font of determination and just diligence. She stuck to getting this problem solved. She stuck to it like glue. And that has been so important. Her empathy, her listening to our colleagues at global locations across the world having challenges. They were not getting campus communications because their identities of the way their identities were set up. They weren't able to get access to particular things. Sometimes their access would just disappear on a day to all kinds of things. And they would be like, wait, what's going on? And so she really, I think she really exemplifies how using your powers of listening and empathy and then taking those powers back and being the translator, because I think IT people, we are translators, and certainly the group of people, IT consultants, are acting as kind of intermediaries. They're trying to solve problems, but they're not just solving problems for the clients that they're working with. They have to go back and work with the IT people, sometimes multiple IT teams, to solve systemic problems. In this case, it was a big systemic problem. So there were a lot of key people that helped Corey to solve this problem. And so when I asked her who those people were, I'm going to just rattle them off because I think it's really important to shout out to the people who helped do that. So Matt Vega is the application developer who developed an application that is now being rolled out that is actually going to give visibility to identities for all those people in a bunch of different ways. You can slice and dice the data where you can actually see what access people have and what kinds of affiliations people have in different parts of the world. So Janet Shula's whole team worked on this, but Matt Vega was the lead application developer. Teresa Dockery in HR, she helped with it. She's retired from HR. Alice Bartolome, I'm going to make sure I get that right. Alice, she did testing in the project, and she's over in Rome, I believe. Tom Marantet, Tony Ramoski, Derek Owens, and Michelle Decker on the identity side. And then Tracy Weber was really a champion for Corey and actually helping to drive that change, because it does take a village. Like sometimes when you're solving systemic problems and it's really complicated, you have to use all the tools that you have available to you and all the people that you can get to help you. And so it takes an effort and it takes a village to get things done. So I think it's a really great
Well, yeah,
story.
that really is a cross discipline list. I mean, you've shouted out almost somebody from sort of every column across the org chart. That
Yeah.
really shows the breadth of involvement. Yeah. So Jane, I know that one of the sort of planks of your platform, if you will, is you talk a lot about innovation, and one of the things that comes with that is creating a culture of growth and curiosity. And my question for you is, how do you encourage a culture where people feel like they can learn, grow, and take chances? If we were in this sort of command and control in terms of communication before, was the culture sort of leaning in that way too? And how do we free people up to take those chances, to take those risks, to innovate?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I mean, I think our culture here is it's really been focused on stability, and there's a lot of care and love that goes into supporting the Notre Dame community and the Notre Dame infrastructure. People are really diligent and dedicated, and we're really busy and we're spread really thin. And so when I think about what's necessary to create a culture where people feel like they can learn, grow, and take chances, I would say that the most important thing is really headroom. So if you are like I've been in the last month, this has been a crazy month. Constantly reacting and just doing, and you're in this process where you're not giving yourself time or headroom or space to reflect, time to think about what's coming next and to plan for what you're going to say and plan for what you're going to do and plan for the meetings that you have next week, for instance. If you really are in reactive mode, you really aren't going to be able to like innovate. That's not an innovative place to put people. Now, we all, like I just said, I have been in a reactive mode throughout the whole month of June. So it happens for all of us and there's no getting around that. However, as a general rule, you as a manager, managers should try to provide their staff with a little bit of headroom because otherwise they can't innovate. They can't take time to reflect and say, well, that was dumb. Why was I spending time doing that? I could have done that better. Or I could have worked with this group because they are already doing that. And maybe if I had handed it over to them and delegated that work to some other group that really does it better and more frequently, maybe I could spend my time on higher value activities. So I think all of that is true. So that's the number one thing that has to be in place in order for you to create a culture of innovation. The second thing I think that needs to be in place is trust. So you actually have to trust people that they're doing the right thing and that they're thinking about the right things. Now, that's not to say that you can't, which is the third thing, accountability. Hold them accountable for what they're delivering because you must. And if you create a loosey goosey environment where there's tons of headroom and no accountability and lots of trust, then that can go off the rails too. So you need to make sure that you've got that third piece, which is accountability, which is holding people accountable and saying, so what did you learn this month with your 5 hours of innovation time or whatever it is that you try to carve off for your team. So I think those are the really, it's a little bit structured, but it's a structured approach, I would say, but not necessarily a structure. Like you can't say every person needs 2 hours on a Friday to innovate because that's not how innovation works. So I think you just have to have a framework and each team has to approach it flexibly, differently, in whatever way that needs to work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it makes total sense too that, you know, using these prompts, like keeping folks accountable, checking in on things, but also making sure that they realize that they have that headroom and bringing it up, saying it, like, and prompting folks to think like, could you delegate something or did we think about this? And giving people sort of like the permission and the space to like take a step back and be like, am I approaching this the right way? Do I need a minute? And, just that culture where they feel like they're allowed to take a minute is like
Right.
so important.
Super important. It's crucial because otherwise people are just running around like chickens with their heads cut off.
Right. Well, and we also turn into order takers if we're not able to be, you
Exactly.
know, objective for those things. So from your vantage point, what is one area where you see really exciting change or innovation happening? Like, and especially our landscape is tech, so many answers could come from this.
Well, actually, the world is really boring right now, and there's not a lot going on. I mean, obviously, AI is the topic on everyone's lips,
Hmm.
and I think you know we have a lot of opportunities there, and the budget constraints are going to probably be our friend in kind of forcing us, kind of in the
Time to automate.
exactly. In the kind of approach of necessity is the mother of invention, we will have to find ways to do more with less. And AI is a great tool in our toolbox to help us think through what can we do more with less. And not a day goes by that I don't listen to something or learn something from someone or a conversation with somebody that doesn't spark a new idea of something that we could be doing better or differently with AI. Not that we have all the tools yet at our disposal, but again, I think that we have to free our people to unleash excellence and let people find the best ways to do things because the answer's in the room. We
Mhm.
actually have all of this skill amongst all of these wonderfully talented people in the IT at ND. There are lots of people with lots of great ideas, and we should be leaning on each other and talking to each other to learn from one another about what we can do. Because the AI space is just changing crazy, crazy fast.
Yeah, that's incredible advice to like keep the communication with each other open because it's, you know, you blink and you miss five new things that you could have been doing. Meanwhile, you might have a colleague who's finding success with different tools that you hadn't heard about. And so keeping that communication open and, you know, just talking about what are we doing, what can we be doing, what are you doing, I think is, you know, exactly what you said. It's going to be what's going to help us innovate and really use these tools to their fullest advantage.
Yeah, for sure.
And Jane, I love this talk about freeing up our people and giving them the permission to kind of step back and think about ways they might innovate, and just think outside of the box. So, but I mean, as you said too, we're also very busy. So, how do you suggest keeping innovation alive and thriving while still making sure that our services stay reliable and strong? How would you describe that balance or give suggestions?
I think so, I think it was Scooter who referred to this before earlier. I think our culture has been so focused on stability and close care of the environments that we operate that it is not necessary, it has not yet been necessary for me to remind people to keep things stable. What has been necessary for me to remind people is that it's okay to take risks. So it's the culture that you're trying to kind of shift a little. Now, that's not to say I want a lot of outages or anything like that, but like I'll give an example. I'll give an example that I think is really important and true. We had a this was an infrastructure type example, and I don't know, maybe in the February timeframe or something. Maybe it was November. Gosh, time flies. I'm not quite sure. In the past, recently, but the recent past, we had a an issue where some servers rebooted automatically. And yeah, and things got updated and some things broke. And it was security patches that kind of like were automatically being applied. And we had some things go down for a few hours. It wasn't like the end of the world at all, but it was impactful, and people on the server teams were very, very worried about what they had potentially done in the service of security patching. And so I sent a note thanking them for their commitment to security and reminded them that there is always going to be a trade off between security and stability. That the more secure you keep your systems, the less stable they're going to be. And the reason is because you have to actually change when you change any part of the technology stack, there is a risk that something will break. But you have to keep those things patched because if you don't, then the bad guys will come in through the wall, right? So I think that what I would say is that we need to continue to keep our services reliable and strong, but we also need to recognize that there is, in fact, it's okay to take risks. It's okay to patch your servers. It's okay to do the things that you know need doing, even though there might be a negative impact or a risk of a negative impact. That you have to take due diligence and care, but you also have to, part of due diligence and care is in fact innovating, and part of due diligence and care is in fact security. And so those things are it's going to be a balance. It's always going to be a balance. But I think that being aware and actually articulating that to people is super important because there has been, I would say, a culture of really just you want to keep everything the same because it keeps everything stable, and then none of our partners are um, put out. And I get that, and it's important, but if the price for security or the price for innovation is a 5-minute outage on a server that 45 people are using, I think that's okay. And we just need to acknowledge that and recognize that it's okay to patch things, that it's okay to innovate, that it's okay to take some risks. And sometimes they're going to pay off in a beautiful fashion, and sometimes they're going to crash and burn, and that's okay. And we have to be, as a leadership team, willing to take the flack and be the shield if things do get, hairy. Leaders like me are committed to being right there with you and explaining why those things are necessary, because they are. They absolutely are.
Lately, I've been thinking a lot about IT being similar to INDOT. So, like, we have to close roads, we have to do construction,
Yeah,
we have to do some major projects sometimes, and it can cause such a headache, but if we don't, then everything will fall apart.
absolutely. I mean, we are running the digital campus, and the digital campus needs updates too. That's a very good analogy, Krista.
Thank you. My husband used to work for INDOT.
Excellent. So Jane, let's talk a little bit about empowering the community. I mean, I think it's really good for us to encourage this kind of risk and do some of these things in the service of improving services and improving the community. But let's talk more about specifically uplifting our IT solutions consultants and our partners and these sorts of things. So, as you know, our IT solutions consultants serve their partners by providing innovative, creative, and best in class technology solutions to advance their department's strategic goals and objectives. Yes, I'm reading. This is from a document that these very consultants have created and drafted, trying to find some common purpose between them. So I'll go on here a little bit. For the consultants that we've interviewed for this podcast, this translates to a wide range of duties, sometimes including break fix tasks, sometimes not, often including higher order project work and strategic assessments. But because of this breadth of activity, our IT solutions consultants are regularly asking, what does the university need from me? And so in terms of like, how should I develop? What should I be focusing on? What is the core of my job? What am I doing to be of benefit to the university? So when you look at that breadth, Jane, what if somebody asked you that question, what does the university need from me? How do you help them out?
The university needs really smart, capable people to serve them. So, what does that mean? Well, it means different things for different roles, obviously. And, if you're serving architecture, that might be a different answer than if you're serving global affairs, for instance. But I think that the cool thing is that IT consultants have such a unique perspective, because we need to leverage it more, frankly. The frontline folks who are seeing the pain points that are the opportunities and the challenges that are kind of across the different constituencies on campus and departments. How do we leverage that? Like, how can we leverage that to make it a stronger understanding? I do think that, like, the front the front lines know more about what the problems and the opportunities are than the people who are sitting in rooms coding or doing other work, for instance. So how do we leverage that perspective? And so when you ask what can they do for the university, I think, keep learning is my first answer. Don't get complacent. Be hungry, I guess, to use I think it was originally Steve Jobs' Stanford speech long, long ago. He said, be hungry. And I think being hungry is a really good piece of advice, because at the end of the day, innovation can happen best at the edges. And what that means to me is the people who are interacting with the challenges and opportunities really close to the end users are going to be the people who are going to be able to see a lot of the solutions that we need to be thinking about. And so I would encourage them to keep learning, keep engaging with what's going on, especially with AI. Listen to podcasts, listen to your colleagues, continue to gather intelligence from across the community, and use that for the greater good, right? Use that in ways that help better the whole. And yeah, I mean, I think keep learning is the real answer, and keep your connections strong. It's at the end of the day, higher ed is so driven by relationships, and not just relationships with our colleagues, although that is super important. It's also relationships internally amongst all your colleagues within the IT organization, because you can learn from them too, and they can learn from you. And so I think that would be my answer
So
to that
that
one.
seems to speak really well to earlier you mentioned sort of the consultants' roles as translators or anybody doing frontline support really as that translator.
Yeah,
And so it seems like the more that they would learn, the more they keep up those connections as you're encouraging them to do, that
yeah,
really strengthens that translation role. Do you see that folding in as sort of a neat package?
yeah.
Is that
Yeah, I think so. Good,
oh,
good,
okay?
good synthesis. I like that.
Excellent.
OIT and IT in general is only a subsect of the university and its mission. It is a very important part of the university, I would say, but maybe I'm biased. But how do you see, in your role as our CIO, how do you see IT making a difference for the broader university community?
Well, we're in the middle of everything, aren't we? I mean, you know, I from dining and concessions, we're in supporting all the applications on campus, obviously the digital campus as I referred to it. But we're also just like helping people in their day-to-day work. We're helping actually like them achieve their goals, right? So when I think about AI in particular, the IT consultants, they're going to be on the front line of helping their colleagues, their partners, their clients figure out how they use technology to get their jobs done better, faster, more efficiently, more creatively. Like, one of the things I think about AI and the role of the IT consultant is that you're really going to have an opportunity to help the university change the way they do things, right? So when you're helping somebody who's in a particular administrative department deal with an issue that they are is a thorny issue, thinking about that through the lens of automation or AI or what we can help them do or automate, and then backing up and squinting and thinking about that not just through that individual department but through all of the departments that do that kind of work, and helping people think through new things. How do they innovate for themselves, but also how do we help them to enable others to innovate? So for me, I think that's really the kind of like that's the juice, right?
So taking that, what excites you the most about where IT at Indy is headed in the years ahead?
I am excited about the partnerships, to be honest. I think the more we can work together, the more we can serve the overall community, the more we can think as one institution, um, the more we will accomplish together and in the interest of serving the greater good. I really genuinely believe that IT at ND as a unified whole, as we work together more and more and are kind of rowing in the same direction for the university, that will make really next step level change for the university. I think we can do amazing things. So I'm excited about the partnerships, to be honest. I think I look forward to seeing what we can do together.
Absolutely.
Better
So,
together.
yeah, better together. Yes, which there is a very cute slideshow on that. We can link
I
it
think we
in this
need t-shirts.
podcast.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Better
We
together.
probably do need t-shirts, I think. I know, IT at ND, and then have
There you
like on
go.
your little shoulder, better together.
So happy. So, what's one piece of encouragement that you'd like to leave with the IT community today?
Times are tough. The world is a complicated place right now. So take care of yourself so that you can take care of your colleagues, so that you can take care of your family, so that you can take care of your work. All of these things together, we've got to stick together on this. We've got to find joy and happiness and you know, we have to be able to find peace within ourselves in our day to day, and it's not going to come from reading the news because the world is a
Nope.
crazy place right now. So I would say times are uncertain, things are changing. Lean into the relationships and the people you care about, and we're all going to be okay. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Thank you,
That is
Jane.
encouraging. Okay, it's time for Consultant Quirks, where we ask our guests a few fun rapid fire questions. So, Jane, your dream dinner. What location and or cuisine would it be? What's the best meal?
So if you'd asked me like 3 weeks ago, I would have said London Indian food. But I ate Indian food while I was in London twice and once when I was in Oxford. So I feel like I have checked that box at least for the next couple of months. But I would say, I'm a foodie. I am. I love food. And it's hard to say what my favorite would be. So what I would say is that produce is coming in really lovely right now. So I'm excited about tomatoes. I was in Austin, Texas with my mom last week, and I brought back 3 tomatoes from her garden, which I am eating slowly. And I had toast with them this morning, and it was amazing. And so I'm excited about my tomatoes and my garden. But I am really also excited about the strawberries that we just had that were amazing. And maybe we'll still be at the farmer's market this weekend. So I'm excited about fresh produce because that's one of my favorite things about summer is just kind of being a glutton about watermelon and strawberries and mint and basil and tomatoes and all those lovely, yummy things. So
Love it.
it's not a
Yeah,
real dinner,
We'll
not a
take it.
real answer, but
that's okay.
So, Jane,
Yeah.
what's one book that everyone should read? And it can be, a workbook if you'd like, but it doesn't have to be.
okay. All right. Well, I don't know, so many good books in the world. So I'm gonna stick to work because I think that one of the books that changed my perspective on building team culture
Oh, I
was The
love
Five
that book.
Dysfunctions of a Team. Now it's written in
Hmm.
the negative framing, but it's so great because it's a story, right? And it's a story everybody can relate to. So the companion piece, though, to that, it's Patrick Lencioni who wrote it. And the companion piece to that is The Advantage. And it's the more positive framing of how to build great teams and make them function really well. And if you ask me what my favorite thing about my job was, it would definitely be building teams. So I'll
That's
give
great.
that as my answer.
Okay, and what is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
So the EVP at Yale, when I was a much more junior employee, once said something that was I thought it was so profound. And her name, she was a woman, so that was also really cool, right? So she said that if you want to move up in the world and get a promotion or get the next job, you have to be the best at your current job. You don't need to be looking and thinking about the next job necessarily. You just need to kick butt at your current job. Because if you kick butt at your current job, people are going to come knocking on your door and they're going to say, I want to give you the next job. And I think that's been really good advice that I would say has worked out pretty well for me, like in my career. So, yeah. for those of you who are thinking about their career.
Excellent. Great advice. Be good at work,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. For sure. What's
It's
one
fun. I
bucket
mean, you
list
have more
item?
fun if you're good at work, so it's more fun.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. Being not good and getting told things isn't fun for anybody.
Not as
right?
much fun. And honestly, you spend a lot of your waking hours at work, so why not have a
That's
good
right.
time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. Okay, so we asked about bucket list dinner, pretty much. So what's one general bucket list item that you hope to check off?
I want to rent a convertible. My husband loves this. He does not want to rent a convertible. He thinks it will mess up his hair. But I want to rent a convertible and drive up the Italian coast, like,
Oh man.
La Dolce Vita, right? Like, how fun would that be, right? Like, that would be fun. I would also like to fly fish. I've got like all kinds of things. I want to do all kinds of things.
Yeah, there's good fly fishing
Oh.
here, right?
I've
Yeah,
never done it.
come up to Michigan. There's a
Be
lot of
fun,
good places to
right?
go fly fishing up here. And I'm sure if you
Yeah,
need help
excellent.
finding company for your convertible up the Italian coast trip, I'm sure you'll find plenty of volunteers, and you can start right here. I mean,
I know, right?
yes,
I know, right?
absolutely.
Doesn't that sound fun? Sounds
Bring
great.
sunscreen.
Definitely sunscreen, and maybe like one of those fancy like
You have to look like
scarves that they
like
would
a
wear in the
50s
60s.
movie
Yeah.
star, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like the movie
Yeah.
star. Exactly. La Dolce Vita all day.
Yep.
And Jane, I don't know if you remember, but we had those plans to do the laundromat
Oh,
and
yeah.
book
Yeah.
coffee shop thing in France.
Yeah, when are we doing that, Deanna? We need
I
to
don't
think
know.
about that. We need to make a roadmap for how we get to our joint laundromat and coffee shop in the south of France.
Catch us up. What are you guys talking about? What is the laundromat France coffee?
It was when we were panelists for a women in tech event as part of the, was it Thrive ND group? I forgot how it came about, but we both kind of had similar dreams of opening our own like cute aesthetic kind of thing in Europe. And I don't know, we just decided on a joint little activity.
Yeah, so I had this dream. I had always wanted to do it, and Deanna had always wanted to do it too. But I had added the laundromat into it because I don't know if you've ever been to Europe on a long trip and needed to do laundry. It's sometimes hard to find laundromats. So I feel like combining a Wi-Fi situation with good coffee or cocktails and laundry is a good combination because you can waste some time there while you get your laundry done.
Yeah, exactly. So what is something new that you'd love to learn?
I am trying to learn Italian right now, actually.
Nice.
I'm going to Rome for most of the month of July. My husband's teaching at the Global Gateway, so I'm going to be working there and then taking a little bit of vacation. And I am doing Duolingo, and Duolingo is harassing me that I'm not doing enough Duolingo.
They're the best at that.
But yeah, they are so good, like constantly like guilting me. It's like, you need to spend more time on your Italian. So yeah,
one
that's
word
what
of
I'm trying
advice,
to
because
do
I
right now.
spent a couple of summers in grad school in Italy, and one of the most important things I learned about speaking Italian is that it's a visual art. It's that you can say something with clear enunciation and perfect grammar and all these other things, they won't understand you. If you say it exactly the same way and wave your hands around, they understand you. So
Well, I've been trying not to wave my hands around in this
but
podcast.
do it in
so
Italy.
here.
It'll help.
Okay. Okay, sounds good.
All right, everybody, it's time for the Did You Know Tech Edition. And just to recap what this might be is where we uncover surprising tech facts and handy shortcuts that you as the listener may never know you needed. But the twist, this is not just for the listeners. I will be quizzing our guests and our hosts as well, and we are keeping score. So to recap you right now, Scooter has got a perfect score of 3. Krista has a score of 2. Technically, Deanna answered correctly last week, but she was our guest. So that lumps our guest total into 2 right now. So Scooter, you're in the lead. Are you guys ready for today's question? And remember, they will be multiple choice.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Which of these social media
Oh.
platforms came first? Was it A, Facebook? Was it B, MySpace? Or is it C, LinkedIn?
I think it was LinkedIn.
It was MySpace.
I'm going with MySpace.
All right.
LinkedIn sounds like the not probable one, so I'll go with that.
It is C, LinkedIn, but
Oh.
only by a few months, right before
I was a
MySpace
social media
in
manager.
2003.
Don't
Oh.
forget about that.
So
Lost my
Scooter, there
perfect
goes your
score.
perfect
Scooter.
record.
Womp womp.
Think about it. Where does networking derive, right? From the professional world. So
That's why I included it. We talked a lot about community and networking, and LinkedIn helps us do that too.
I just had no
Yeah.
idea that
Excellent.
LinkedIn
Nice job,
was the
everybody.
antique that that MySpace is. You know, I mean, that's
yeah.
Yeah, but MySpace
right here and
is
gone,
pretty
right?
like old
And
school.
LinkedIn is still around, so
Yep.
kudos. I mean, I'm out there, I love it, but no idea it was that old.
Well, the original, not owned
Mm.
by Microsoft. It is now owned by Microsoft.
Acquired.
Acquired.
Jane, thank you so much. This has just been a real privilege and a real honor to be able to chat with you. I've loved the conversation. I think we all have. And yeah, so.
My pleasure.
Yes. Thank you so much for making time to do this
Absolutely.
for us and for the IT community here. We know that you're so busy. Like, there's been a lot of travel. There's been a lot going on. And so thank you so much for like carving out some time
Yeah,
for
no,
us.
absolutely. And thank you for giving
Our
me an
pleasure,
extra week
too.
to prepare.
Anytime.
Thank you, Jane.
Take care.
Yep. Scooter, before we go, I think we have one more thing to do. As this is,
I think we do, Andy.
this is Krista's final episode as our primary host. As a reminder to our listeners, she's still going to be part of our team, helping with communications and script writing, but she's giving host duties over to Deanna going forward. But because of that, we, Krista, have given you a special bag with a
I have it
parting
here.
gift that I gave you specific instructions earlier not to peek at. So she has no idea what's in this bag.
Yes. Although I'm confused as to why there's not a pony in the bag. Why no pony?
There may be a
Right?
pony.
Because it'd be hard to lift up to show to the camera like that.
Also, real quickly, can you guys see the thumbnail picture that Riverside, our podcasting software, grabbed for me this time?
No.
No.
Yes, I
Okay,
can.
you can see it?
Yep.
That's so funny because it got me like this.
Oh.
Like, it's pretty fun. Okay, you guys ready for me to open it?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Get in there. Okay.
This is great that this is our first broadcast with
bubble
video
wrap!
too.
Yes, you got bubble wrap. You did mention that you had
Yay!
ADHD before.
You could take that to that first.
Perfect. Ooh.
What's your group? What's your ERG, Krista?
Profound.
The Profound, right?
Yep.
So
Okay. Here it is. Ooh.
Wow.
the golden
This
microphone.
is so cool. Thank you. It says Krista Moats, founding host behind the screens IT at ND podcast.
Woohoo!
That is awesome.
Thank you for an amazing first season, Krista.
Yes,
Thank you guys for inviting me to participate. It's been seriously cool.
So now your challenge is not to miss us too much.
Yes. Well, you know, it's going to be hard not to miss you guys a bunch, but I think that the solution of staying on the team helps.
It does.
Yes.
For sure.
Yep.
And we managed to find a wonderful replacement host too. So we're gonna be sad that you're gone, but we're happy with Deanna stepping in. So
Thank you guys.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yes, I know. I'm really excited to listen to the upcoming episodes with Deanna and just the perspective. And Andy and I met with a couple of future guests today that I feel like are going to be able to play off you guys really well. And so, yes, like I said, staying on the team, still helping you put everything together and helping you promote it once it comes out. And happy to do that because, like I mentioned in the last episode, this is really become an awesome communications vessel. So,
Excellent.
And
yeah.
then Scooter and Deanna, real fast, seeing how this is wrapping our season 1, do you want to give the listeners some insight into season 2?
Why, yes, Andy, I'd love to. So the most exciting thing that you've all gotten a sneak preview of today is that season 2 will all be done via video. I mean, we will have audio recordings available, so if you like to just listen, you're still welcome to do that. But we will be sharing a video version of our podcasts as well. And we have decided to continue with our schedule of producing something every 2 weeks, so twice a month. I know when we started this a year ago, we looked at once a month just to get our feet wet and get us off the ground, but we're settling into this quicker cadence, and so we hope to be able to bring more and better all the time.
Yeah, stick around.
Next time, we will be interviewing 2 folks from the IT and Services group in the development office, Rose Mikulski and Andrew Yoakum. So join us next time for that fun interview.
If you've got someone you'd like us to interview, just email those ideas to btspodcast@nd.edu. And if there's anything else new, exciting, frustrating, or inspiring happening in your IT consultancy world, please share that with us too. We would love to hear your insights and ideas.
Okay, Krista, you ready for one final sign-off?
One final sign-off.
All right,
Yes.
signing off from behind the screens, IT at ND.
Stay tech savvy, Notre Dame. Okay. I think you guys could probably string together a reel of you telling me to read the rap every single week.